Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds, the September 2024 Wild Bird Update. We do these every month. I know it's only a couple of weeks ago we did August because we had to switch things around a little bit because of Mary's schedule, who was a guest that we had on one week. So these two are close together, and I apologize if that's confusing at all. But there's a lot going on in the month of September in the bird world. It's a big time transition month for birds and for nature as a whole. So tonight we're going to be talking about nesting a little bit. We're going to talk about migration a lot. We're going to talk about how feeding patterns are changing. And we're going to talk a little bit about like hawk migration and some sites around the country where you can go to witness that spectacle, which is always wonderful. And today was our first fall bird hike through the store. We had started out this on Thursday mornings. We go somewhere different for the next 8 weeks or so, and was inspired by a couple things we saw to talk about that tonight. Because I figure if we're curious about it on our hikes, you guys would, if you could attend their hikes, you would really like to learn about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, and we also have a couple of things to cover with the online store, and also a new swag item. We'll save that for later, but those are all to come. So hoping everybody's having a wonderful night. Can you believe the National Football League had the audacity to schedule my Chiefs to play on a night of my live? I just can't believe they didn't clear it with me first before they scheduled this football game. But I'll get to catch the latter part of the game. I'm going to miss kickoff, obviously, but it's well worth it. But I do have my Chief shirt on, so to support them anyways while we're talking. Looks like a lot of people are already checking in. And the first things that we lead with is, of course, welcoming everybody in, but we also want you to know if you're new. I know I saw one person say they're new on the list there, and I'll get to those in just a minute. But if this is your first time viewing one of the lives or joining in with us, please let us know where you're checking in from. That really helps me, especially when it comes to answering questions. And of course, we like to see, what part of the compass we're getting on these lives and participating, and that's always a big help to us. So give us, what you want me to call you, and also the part of the country you're checking in from. So let's go to the list. Let's see who's oh boy, that's a nice long list. Hi, Richard. I know you're from New York. Andrew checking in from Cincinnati, always a real regular. Here, look, Lily Pad, this is your first time checking in. Lower Alabama, across the bay from Mobile near the Gulf of Mexico. Well, excellent. I'm glad you discovered us, and welcome in. Jan's Art is from Belton, Missouri, just south of the city here where we are. And just north of the city where we are, Jay and Carol, they were on our bird hike today. Hi, Steve from Tennessee, now no longer South Alabama. You were down there near her lily pad for just a month or two ago. Now you're back up in Tennessee, and the largest pileated woodpecker you've ever seen. Yep. The rule of thumb in wildlife is the further north you go, the larger the body size in animals. That's typically, and that, animals that have to survive in colder temperatures, having a larger surface area is an advantage. So a lot of birds, even like blue jays and pileated woodpeckers, they're the ones that live in the north tend to be larger than the southern subspecies of them. That's interesting that you saw a big one today. Hey, Carrie, our store manager and good friend. She was on the hike today with her and Kurt. All right. Key, hello, Key. Did you from Houston? Today I received the mesh feeder and hood that I ordered from you guys. Great. Packing it, yes, Carrie does a great job. It takes care of your packages very well. And Key's the one who suggested Monday night's program about seed blocks, and I just recorded that. I appreciate him sending that in as a suggestion. Yes, Nanuet in New York. There's Kurt. Good job. I got some good pictures today on the hike. The very first bird of the day on our hike this morning was a red-shouldered hawk sitting up on top of a light pole by the ball fields where next to the sanctuary. And Kurt sent me, and if you ever want to see what birds we saw on our bird hikes, make sure you join the Facebook page. And every Thursday, I try to have it up by Thursday afternoon, the list of birds that we saw, where we were, things like that, kind of what the star birds of the day were. And so the next 8 weeks, you can check in and catch up on the birds that we're seeing on our bird hikes. So that's a good way to do that. You follow on the Facebook page, Backyard Bird Center. All you got to do is go to Facebook and search by that, and it'll bring it up. Hello from Central Georgia. Welcome in. All right. Oh, the game is delayed. Is it raining? It looked like it was coming up a storm, so maybe they'll be delayed long enough that they get to see most of the game. It's on YouTube TV, so I can catch the whole thing. Yeah. Andrew just had an order shipped out. Excellent. All right. Excellent. Hi, Jen G from Maine. Hello, Space Ghost. I love it. These names are so familiar now. Right? You guys know each other and talk back and forth. Hi, Sandy Dion. Oh, Bears country. Yeah, they're going to be a much improved team this year. We're going to see how this goes. Now, you and Carrie are the one, and Kurt are the ones. They're the Packers fans. They're the ones Sandy, need to be talking to each other and puffing out your chest and say who's going to dominate that division. Hi, Alyssa, New Jersey, a real regular. Pebbles 9024. My first time checking in. Southern Wisconsin will welcome in another first-time person in tonight. We love it. Hello, Denise from the West Coast, a real regular. Like I said, I love seeing from all points of the compass. Kankakee Audubon Walk Saturday does it as well as yours did. Yes, the bird hikes. Migration is really picking up. We had a black-throated green warbler, which doesn't nest here. It definitely was a great migrant. Had rose-breasted grosbeak, Baltimore Orioles, which have all kind of bugged out from here, so they're passing through from up north. So migration's happening. So get out there every day that you can now in the next couple of weeks. Sherry from Southeast Michigan, welcome in. And let's see. Better Backyard Birds. Hey, Mark, happy to catch you. Saw my first pileated woodpecker today and got some nice photos. Excellent. I love your bald cardinal picture there. The pileated woodpeckers are the click bird for a lot of people. That gets them going. As it started in the hobby of bird watching, they're an inspiring bird. It can definitely just turn. Whoa. You can't help but be a wow factor with those birds. So, all right, we've got time for people to get in. And don't forget, if you enjoy the program, give us a like, a thumbs up, or a heart. That really helps us. And again, comments help and sharing helps. All that does. So we appreciate you being in tonight. So let's start first with nest. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I was supposed to add that to the thing. All right. So there are birds that are continuing to nest, and I'd really like to know from you guys, do you have bluebirds actively nesting now, or do they appear to be finished in wherever you are in whatever part of the country you're in? Most people I know have had 3 nests this year, but last year I know people had 4 nests, and this year they certainly could. But bluebirds are an example of a bird that will continue to nest. Cardinals are another. I've seen juvenile cardinals, coming in October, or one of the advantages you have by staying here, I say it all the time, by being a resident somewhere and not having to migrate to Central America or from Canada down to here, is you can fit in another nest if the weather permits and the insects are available to you. So there is still nesting going on. Now, the neotropic migrants who don't have that kind of time, who migrated here, like the hummingbirds and the orioles and the grosbeaks and the tanagers, they've come in, they've made their nest, they've pulled off their young, raised their young, and they're the ones that are moving out. They're headed down to from northern Mexico to central Mexico, Venezuela, all those countries. They settle in down into northern South America, a lot of them, and then there's those master migrators that migrate all the way down to the southern tip of South America, which is truly, truly impressive. But, we've talked about that. But yes, nesting is still going on. So if you've got them, that's great. If not, like I said, they may be already, their instincts are telling them it's time to go. So All right. Now, in our world, Carrie and I at Ruth, if she run at the store, we always call it the September Slowdown. And the September Slowdown, part of our hike today, when I say when we do these fall hikes, is I always look for the amount of natural food that's out there. There was a ton of dogwood berries today in our area. They're gray dogwoods or red osier dogwoods, roughleaf dogwood, and they're the ones that have those small white berries on them. And I mean, they were loaded today. We couldn't really see up in the tree because there's so many leaves still on the trees, but things like dogwood berries. And then the cover photo for tonight's program was a wild grape hanging in a tree. So we really looked to judge that. And I think there definitely is a correlation of a couple different things. That's why I look for it, is the amount of natural food. If there's a lot of it out there, then this September slowdown, we call it, when the feeders slow down and the birds are not eating as heavy at your feeders, it tends to last a little longer. And so, into October and into early November, depending upon the amount of food available. And it also depends on when that first cold weather comes in, that first freezing and thawing. And looking at it today, it looks like there's plenty of natural food, which makes sense because we had a wetter than average summer here in Kansas City. So if you're in an area that was extremely dry during the whole summer months, then the plants probably didn't produce as much natural food going into the fall as we did here because we had such a wet year. And we, you can't just think about berries, which of course is Robin's loving, but you really have to think about things like grasses, because every one of those, the tops of one of those plants there has a head with seeds on it. And lots of birds eat those seeds, especially those native sparrows that come in and the ground feeders. So that amount of food, and that's what we don't think about whenever our birds disappear on us in the fall and they leave the feeders. And I always talk about stress. And if it's good for the birds, it's usually bad for the bird watcher. And if it's bad for the birds, it's usually good for the bird watcher. So if it's been really dry, plants aren't producing a lot of natural food, then they come to your feeders quicker. And we love that. We love seeing the birds in our feeders, but it usually means that nature's falling short for them out there, or, stress comes along, and that is early cold snaps, freezing and thawing. That is when you get those early frosts, those early freezing and thawing. That's when the seeds start to drop to the ground. It becomes a little harder for the birds to find. And remember, I always talk, my rule of thumb is in survival is the least amount of work for the most amount of gain. So if I'm having to look for food really hard, then I am more likely to come to the feeders that have that free open source of food for me. But if the weather's mild, I can take my time and search for those seeds in the gravel and things like that. And so there's a correlation between the stress and the amount of pressure that's put on wildlife and their willingness to come to your bird feeders. Now, I know you will have birds at your bird feeders all year round, but the activity should, and usually does, slow down significantly. And it seems to push a little later every year. Even last year, I think really our slowest period was more like the last week of September through October, whereas sometimes it starts as early as now. In early September, the feeders slow down. I've even noticed my house finches are slowing down right now. The hummingbirds are going bananas because they're fattening up. So the hummingbird show is at its best in September. And then by the end of the month, when those winds shift out of the north, then those hummingbirds really start to leave. But like today, we had Baltimore Oriole, which our nesting Orioles have been gone here now for probably a month. And the males and then the females, and now the young are passing through from points north. The rose-breasted grosbeak probably was a bird from up north. We know, obviously, the black-throated green warbler, which doesn't nest anywhere close to here, that was a migrant coming through. So that fall migration is much more gradual than that hurried spring migration where they're trying really hard to get to their nesting grounds as quickly as possible, get that nest in, raise those babies, and then head south. Whereas fall is much more a gradual retreat, and wind patterns have a lot to do with that. We talked about this last my migration period program about how at night that's when most songbirds migrate, and of course they can tell time. They migrate by the stars, a magnetic field. They have metal chips in their bills and their skull that help them with the magnetic pull of the earth, and that they migrate at night 150 miles, depending upon the winds, and they can really get going. That's why it's so important to turn your lights out at night. We've talked about that many times. If you're working a building and you can't turn your lights out, see if you can have them pull the shades at night so that that light's not out there for those birds that are migrating to get caught up in, and they call, in that tunnel of white light and then fly into the windows. Terrible stuff. But you can help by, even your porch lights, turning those out at night is important. So migration is definitely happening. I got this picture. Let's go here. All right. Well, with migration, some of the birds that are really famous for it, like I said, those warblers and those tanagers and the hummingbirds and the orioles and those guys that we know are gone every year. Well, two birds that you don't think so much about migrating every year, but they do actually migrate in pretty good numbers, are the red-headed woodpecker and the blue jay. Those birds are both very acorn dependent, and when those birds that nest way to the north, all of those acorns are going to get covered in a typical year with snow and ice. And of course, birds have evolved with this. They know this, and they know that when it's time to leave, the changing of day length drives them, and they know it's time to head south. And places like Hawk Ridge in Duluth, Minnesota, they're counting the hawks that are coming by, but they also every year report the red-headed woodpeckers and the blue jays and that are passing by, headed south to settle into areas down our way that have heavy acorn crops. And that's when if you're seeing a bunch of red-headed woodpeckers in your area in the winter, you bet that the acorns have done really well, because they're settling into that area and they store them into tree holes, and they'll feed on them all winter. Blue jays bury them in the ground. We call the blue jays the Johnny Apple seeds of the acorn of the oak tree world. They love to bury those acorns, but they also, of course, when you're offering up your in-shell peanuts, you're giving them an alternative to that. And that's one of the things they do, is they take a lot of those in-shell peanuts and they bury them out there as well. But probably more famous than any of them, of course, is the hawk migration. This is something that many people are very, very familiar with. There's some really famous places around the country. So believe it or not, this is a red-tailed hawk. This is a Harlan's red-tail, which is the dark phase of it. It's a beautiful picture. And when I took a group bird watching up to Duluth, Minnesota, several years ago now, we visited Hawk Ridge the first weekend in October, and we had quite a trip. You're standing up there on the ridge above the lake, and what happens is those hawks come down from the north. And they come down from the north and they hit the lake, and then they don't want to cross it. So they cruise down the north shore. It's sloping north and west, and you stand up there on the ridge and they just come flying right by you. It's amazing. Some of them are over you, but if you ever get a chance to do that, hawkridge.org, I think, is their website. You can go on there and check they have a migration report every day. And they'll tell you how many hundreds of this or two of that. And the day we were there, we had 300 sharp-shinned hawks in one day come by us. So it's quite a sight. And there are other sites too. Hawk Mountain in Pennsylvania is very, very famous. Cape May, New Jersey, down to the point of New Jersey, is very famous for migration coming past there. And then the Florida Keys, there's a big hawk watch going on down there. I saw a friend who was down there and posted just a huge flock of swallowtail kites on their way south that they were counting as they go by. Peregrine falcons coming by there in the hundreds. So if anywhere you are, and if you're in California, you're in Utah, you're in whatever state you're in, if you just type in hawk migration near me, and it'll usually bring up a list of places that you can go. They're usually high up. I know in the mountains of Virginia was where we used to go. In North Carolina, there was a ridge up there that the hawks passed by, and the ravens and other birds too. But if you want to witness it, it certainly is. And there are people up there that are doing the official counting, and they don't want you to interfere with them, but you can be up there and listen to them call the birds out, and they're having to record them. They got their clickers going, and they document every year. Dedicated volunteers doing that. And if you want to do that, you can volunteer for all these organizations. It just depends on where you are, and again, your confidence and your level of being able to identify them. But the hawk migration is a wonderful thing. I'll try to get all of these links into the description below. Remember, anything I talk about, when I talk about a website, a web link, or a product link or whatever, those are in the description below the program. And you can always go there. And of course, there's all my email addresses and the links to the online store where you can support us, things like that. But I'll try to put those links into the, let's say, hawkridge.org should be there, and places you can look them up. And if you're really interested in that, it's wonderful. In the U.S., North America, we have migratory pathways, and the classically there's the eastern, there's the central, the Mississippi, and the central and the western. And a great map showing this is from, I think, the North Dakota Department of Conservation, this map. And this is typically waterfowl, but you can bet that a lot of birds follow relatively this, because waterfowl migrates a lot during the day. So that's why they follow ridge lines, they follow rivers, things that they can go do on. But you can see how they're very concentrated in their migration routes. And in Missouri, we're very lucky that we're so close to the Central Flyway and the Mississippi Flyway that we get a huge concentration of bald eagles in the winter because of that. And they're following the snow geese who follow the Missouri River and the Mississippi River. And we have huge numbers of them. So it's a wonderful thing to look forward to and when the weather gets a lot colder. So migration, it is a fascinating topic. And yes, I do plan to do I'm going to do a class on it is what I want to do. We're going to start having some classes up online because some of these topics are just too detailed and too involved to talk about in just a short program. So that is what's going on in the migration world. And let's say, let me look, make sure I got some notes here, because today was really, really pretty disheveled. Aside from lights out, I always want to talk about how to protect those migrating birds, providing water. I got to mention water. Absolutely. When I'm talking about birds, to making sure you got a clean source of reliable water for them, and moving water or water that makes sounds help those migrating birds so much. And make sure you do that and have that out. But they're looking to fuel. And I had Mary on last month about the importance of native plants. Well, we're having our native plant sale here at the store this weekend, and they providing those native plants that produce a lot of caterpillars that the birds can feed on. Because when those birds land at morning, and they've been migrating all night, they're starving, and they got to be able to find food. And having native plants for them to be able to rely on and have lots of insects on them, it helps them and keeps them fueled for that migration south. So definitely wanted to make sure I mentioned the native plant sale. Ours this year in the fall, it benefits the Platte Land Trust, a great conservation organization in Kansas City. In the spring, it benefits the local Audubon chapter, Burroughs Audubon. So if you get a chance and you can find native plant sources near you, seek them out. They are so important for birds, for sure. So now, a couple of things that we did on the hike today. One of the things that I get in 40 years of doing this, I've always had a ton of questions about is this animal right here. Now, again, I know they're widespread as a group of caterpillars, but the most famous for us is the eastern tent caterpillar, or the webworm, as a lot of people know it as. And we saw this was taken today. This picture was taken out at the sanctuary where we were. And people see these and they think, oh gosh, they're so ugly. Oh, they're going to kill the tree. And they generate a lot of questions. So I thought I would talk about that today, because that is not true. As a matter of fact, we only see these in the late summer going into fall. And yes, they chew the heck out of the leaves here. But remember, those leaves have done their job. They have produced the chlorophyll and the food that tree needs, and it's in the process of storing that in the roots for the winter. And really, these leaves that die from these caterpillars make a minimal impact on that tree over, especially a large tree like this. I've seen small trees that were completely covered with these, and the next year they're just fine. So people panic and they want to cut the limbs down. They want to cut the tree down, and there's no reason to do that. They do. Let's see. Yes, and here are the caterpillars. And for a long time, it was believed that nothing really ate these caterpillars in the bird world, or really anywhere, because they're covered in hair. And hairy caterpillars are tough for birds because those hairs stick in their throat. Well, then they learned that birds like the yellow-billed cuckoo actually takes them and rolls them and squishes down the hair and then swallows them. Now studies are showing that more birds do that. There are the birds who eat. I don't know if they copied the yellow-billed cuckoo but the birds, blue jays and orioles have been documented eating them. Even black bears have been documented eating them. So there are more things eat them than we originally thought, or maybe the animals are getting used to them, and that defense is not working for them. So, but these little guys, there'll be hundreds of them, or even thousands of them that emerge there. And when they will pupate, and in their adult form, they're a little brown moth. And they're just unobtrusive. They fly around, they lay their eggs, and then they die. They're only alive for a few days. But that's the life cycle of those webworms, is what I learned them as. But tent caterpillar is the other name that is probably more famous. That tent caterpillar. So they're not killing your trees. You don't have to panic if you see those. And yes, they're unsightly. If they're in your yard, that's not a great thing to see. But you don't, like I said, don't have to call out an arborist or anything like that, because they're not really going to kill things. So that's my creature feature of the night. Every month I try to have some animal and usually a bird, but this time I thought, well, they generate a lot of questions, and this is the month you're going to see them all over, and thought this would be a good chance to talk about them. So. All right, let's see who I have missed, have joined in since I've been talking a lot, haven't I? All right, Andrew, let's see. You got your order coming. I did see your order. Northwest Arkansas, Space Coast. Yep. In Oklahoma. Okay, yeah, Oklahoma's a rich state for birds, that's for sure. Hi, Ruth, you made it. Yeah, I hear you. There's, unless you want to pay and there's something you can with YouTube, a premium or something, and you don't have to watch any commercials. I think there's one way around that. All right, getting great videos from the birds. Oh, excellent. Yeah, we got from you guys last week. Excellent. I tell you, I had someone called, and I think he was in Texas and bought one from me, and he said, I think I'm going to have to return this. And he said, I can't get any work done. All I'm doing is watching the hummingbirds on this hummingbird feeder camera. Yeah, they are amazing. And you like I said, more than you watch them from the window, but you don't realize how many there really are coming. And that camera really captures them. Central Pennsylvania. Thank you for checking in. All right, I tell you how a hummingbird drink from my. That's always cool. Getting the hummingbirds to drink from her ring feeder. It just takes a little patience, and it gets used to coming, and then they are fun when they come in that close. Wearing Chiefs red is a really good advantage too, to have them coming up and trying to drink from your shirt or your hat. I've had them right by my head trying to drink from my red Chiefs hat. Hi from PA, but leaving tomorrow for Chincoteague, Virginia for the weekend. Nice. That's some good bird watching out there in the winter. I've hiked around out there in the winter looking for saw-whet owls in the past. Hi, Delilah. Welcome in. Hello. Turn off the notifications. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the video. I tell you what, I had to silence my notifications, Gary. You're right, because just buzzing all day long. I can always look at it and check it, but I did have to quiet down those notifications from the camera from that feeder. Whew. BB's gone since early summer. Oh yeah, yep. They've moved out. Maybe they nested. The Bluebirds nested somewhere else close by for their second and third nesting. Hi, Tony. Welcome in. My Bluebirds are done in the St. Louis area. Last hatch was late July. Okay, excellent. Yeah, they may have squeezed one in somewhere else. Or they may have just finished up. My first up close pileated was just about 3 years ago. Of all things, about 10 feet away on my deck eating suet. Rooster, it happens. I've heard stories, but I've never been that lucky. I've had pictures of people with them on their suet feeders and on their peanut feeders as well. We had one out at the Parkville Nature Sanctuary a few years ago that was hitting on a stump that was probably maybe 20 feet off the trail, 15 feet off the trail. And he didn't mind us being there at all. The photographers loved it. That's for sure. Jan Sart, I have another group of juvenile cardinals, which is fun. Yes, I can tell you, you'll see those cardinals will get in as many nests as they can. And we know, of course, the mourning doves nest the whole season. Having to put in some real walking time to spot a wild bluebird here. That's interesting. Yeah, they like that open country. Yeah, but they're there. Our crazy little dot right now. So far, this is my peak number in Central Missouri. Yes, Rooster. Yeah. Hummingbird numbers are peaking. We always say the last week of August, the first week of September here in the Kansas City region is when our numbers peak. And boy, there's a bunch of them out there right now. You are right. Adult female cardinal feeding in juvie. Yep. Yep. More nest. Have not seen any bluebirds yet, but we just put up 5 bluebird houses, so hope they will come. We're all red-winged blackbirds right now. Yep. Love them, but they are taking over the feeders, and that's fall migration, and they'll do that in spring migration, but they should move along and move out into the wetland areas for you down there in the winter months. I don't think you'll have that. Try to stay away from feeding millet and cracked corn, the grains. That's what they prefer. Try to feed only sunflower, safflower, peanuts. That'll help tone them down some. And of course, you don't have to worry about open water down there in lower Alabama, but bird bass are great for them for sure to attract them in the winter months. Would you like to do a show on dove species? Well, all we have really here are 2, mourning doves and the Eurasian collared doves, but I could do a family group focus on doves. And from like white-winged doves on the desert Southwest, a lot of more doves out west than there are here, but I could put something together on that. Yeah, that's a good family focus I've never done. Yeah, different people right now. This can be the most exciting time of the year, and it also can be, for others, it can be the slowest time. Hopping here in Maine. Yep, Mattville Daily. We have a lot of goldfinches. Good. Now, I'm curious, up there in Maine, do you have to worry about bears? And because this time of year, a lot of our Canada people and our northern tier people told us back in the spring that they were shutting their feeding stations down. Now the bears were coming out of hibernation, and something we don't have to deal with here in Missouri yet. Maybe in the future, but I just wondered if you have to deal with the black bears up there, Jen, where you are. All right, Kristen, hi from New York. Starting to hear the young goldfinches around. Yeah, we ran into a good flock of juvie goldfinches feeding on some seed heads, some natural seed heads today. They're all greenish color. There were adults in them with them as well, but a lot of juvies in that flock. Yeah, they'll hit the feeders here for a while. And remember, boy, when it comes to October, November, for the most part, and in our area, the goldfinches totally disappear. They really take advantage of those natural food sources, like those grass seed heads that I had in that picture earlier. They're going to take advantage of wild patches like this. I always say that the best way to describe it is the goldfinches move out into the weedy field edges in the fall, And as long as it's not too cold and there's no freezing and thawing, they'll eat a lot of this seed. They haven't gone anywhere for most of it. Like, as a matter of fact, because you guys further north, you'll lose them during the heart of the winter, but they settle in down here a lot, feeding on the seed heads, and then they discover feeders once the stress gets higher. Good, you still have them. Very dry summer. Okay, well, you may not have as long of a slow period there in Cincinnati. I'm going to the Pelican Festival. Oh, we're Disney at the Great Land Show. First weekend of October. I'm hoping a bunch of them. I'm going to hope some Hungry Eagles also. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a festival I've not heard about, but it makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. September Slowdown. That it's actually the September activity. I've told the story before, but when I bought the store, of course, I ran nature centers for years and we had gift shops, so I kind of knew the pattern. But the guy I bought the store from, he said, just know when the hummingbirds leave, keep a good book around the store, because that is that point. The hummingbirds leaving and the feeding slowing down really hit about the same time. So, your hummingbirds keep you going for a good while this time of year, and then you start getting the calls. Where are my birds? When are they going to come back? We'll talk more about this in October, I promise, because there'll be more people chiming in with that. I have been leaving an acre or two of lawn to go to. Oh, you're so smart. Yep. You're right, Cold Spring. That is it. I mean, we've talked about the native landscaping. If people would just leave a percentage of their yard and let it go grow wild, plant some native plants in there, you're going to feed sparrows and the goldfinches. A lot of birds will take advantage of that wild seed, and not to mention the caterpillars in there that the plants are producing. Yeah. Red-headed woodpeckers are gorgeous. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely. And you should have them down there. They're, I always say the red-headed woodpeckers are in decline in urban areas because the starlings run them off out of their nests. So they're becoming, but there's still, plenty of them out in real rural areas. And hopefully you'll have one visit. I know they have them in Tennessee. Isn't that right, Steve? He was talking about how many he's had in his area. Uh-oh, having sound issues. Is anybody else having sound issues? Laura lives in Pennsylvania. I never heard of Hawk Mountain. I'm going to look that up. It's in the southeastern part of the state. Yeah, look that up. It's one of the most famous hawk migration spots in the country. Great people down there, and they do a lot of good work, a lot of programs. It's worth a road trip for sure to go visit there, especially during migration, October. And one of the things you can look at these sites and go back and look at their hawk numbers from the previous year. That's how I chose the week I did to go to Duluth, because I had a window where there was the greatest diversity of hawks coming through. I really wanted to see northern goshawks because we really don't get to see those. And so, you can go earlier in September if you want to see a lot of broadwing hawks, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I settled in on early October because I wanted the chance to see northern goshawks, but still have, their rough-legged hawks and lots of sharp-shinned hawks and eagles. It was crazy. It was great. We had, like I said, the only time in my life I looked up and I had an adult bald eagle and an adult golden eagle flying over us at the same time, side by side. It was great way to study them up close and personal. And yes, we did get goshawks and things. So yeah, if you get a chance, anywhere you are listening, look up hawk migration sites. I bet you there's somewhere within, a couple hours drive or, where you can take advantage of it. Yeah, definitely check out Hawk Mountain. Classes online. Melanie has been on me and it's just a matter of time because I do tons of classes, guys. I've done them over the years. I do them for Missouri Master Naturalist groups, Audubon groups, and I've done them my whole life, my professional life. And she's wanting me that we want to get some of these classes filmed so that we can put them up as classes. So and we want to do that, and it's just a matter of getting ahead on the YouTube videos, and then we'll start be able to post some of these classes, and want to have a variety of them up there for you, so that you can go back, you can pause it, you can go back and watch it again, you can do that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what we're aiming for. Excellent. Yeah, like I said, well, yeah, I don't know the time frame. It will probably come with like the subscription. I know some of you guys have already joined to support us. We have a membership group, and there's different levels, and they don't be, because I really Andrew and Richard. I know there's a couple of people that have joined, and they have the little symbols by their names tonight. If you've noticed that, I look at Andrew has this little symbol by him. That means he's a member of the group. He's supporting us, and that means a lot, because we count on the sales in the store, and the online store is so competitive, and people order, and that really helps us, and your views help us. But these things cost time and money, and so memberships do help, and really appreciate any support you guys can give along that way. But the classes will be available, and I don't know about a fee structure or anything like that. I mean, like I said, I just turn the camera on and let me talk, and I'll let Melanie and figure all that stuff out, and then run it by me. So yeah, they're coming. Yep, all of it's still in the works. Yeah, we'll get them up. You will know. Believe me, you regulars will know first whenever we get this. The one thing about YouTube is I can leave you and watch you the Chiefs. You're rubbing it in, Ellie. Yeah, I know. I look forward to watching the Chiefs here in a little bit. All right, enjoy. Root them on, Ellie. Hello, Frontier from SoCal. Welcome in. I know that hadn't seen you in yet. That's my son. Recognize that name? The creature feature sounds spooky. That's my boy. Good. Yes, it is spooky. A little bit. Hayden's backyard. Fall is a great time for wading birds. Yes. The Gulf Coast. Ooh, 100 wood storks. Man, I'm jealous. Countless spoonbills. You guys, Ruth just came back from Panama, and she's been showing all these pictures you saw down there. I'm so jealous. Oh man, all those tanagers down there, and the toucans and motmots, and you guys live in areas like these wetland areas in the winter. You just get inundated with these the shorebirds and the waterfowl down there. We get them in just little windows, when they come through, and we have to take advantage of that with our bird hikes and stuff. So I'm jealous. Red Lipstick brought a hummingbird to you. He was looking for a kiss, right? Still waiting for a pilot to visit my feeders. Yes. You know what? You'll wait and wait, and you'll look out there one day, and he'll be there, and you'll go, "Wow!" The pileated woodpecker saw an incredible number of grackles the other morning. We saw about 200 this morning on our bird hike. It was a tree that was really loaded with birds. And all of a sudden, this huge flock of common grackle just started pouring in and pouring through the areas. And we roughly estimated 200 birds. There were a lot of grackle in that. So the good news is that means they're leaving your feeders alone, and they're moving out into farm fields, which they're not very popular with farmers, that's for sure. That they're moving through. That's what they're doing. And they're headed down to your part of the world down there in South Alabama for the winter. Yeah. It's an awe-inspiring moment when you see those numbers, and you just think of the number of birds that used to be able to do that. Hey, John P. from Ocala. Yeah, you're a regular. BH. Oh, I love it. I think my store isn't working. BackyardBirdCenter.com? Shop BackyardBirdCenter.com? We'll have to check that out. Yeah, it's been a weird day today. Electronics. I mean, I had to restart my computer like 3 times a day, and it seemed like I don't know, sun flares or something. I don't know. It just seemed like the internet was not being very nice. Lots of mourning dove babies. Yes.
The link is fine.
What's that?
The link is fine.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Matthew's checked on the link, and he said it's fine. So yeah, it's sad. Death. There has to be death for there to be life, and then sometimes it is hard to to see that. Requested page not found. And you typed in shop.backyardbirdsitter.com, making sure we're getting the right thing. Yes, that would be awesome. Love my doves. Yeah. A lot of people love their doves. I have to bring in feeders every night or the black bears will feast and damage my setup. Yep. Yeah. And you're down in Florida. Yeah. They call them swamp bears down there. And I said where I grew up in southeastern North Carolina, the only person who had black bear problems was the guy who had beehives. And he said there's a path worn from the swamp to his beehives where the bears are back and forth all the time. So, yeah, they're a little shyer, but they know where they find a free food source. You know, okay, up in Maine, you didn't have to deal with the bears. There's some in towns near. Oh, the skunks and the raccoons. Yes. Remember, skunks are great mousers. They are good at finding mice nests and digging them up and taking care of those. So skunks are our friends, that's for sure, like a lot of them. You haven't seen a goldfinch all summer. Boy. Yes. Oh, you're in Alabama. Right. Okay. That means, yeah, no, they don't nest down there. And there's some studies that show that their nesting pattern is moving further and further north. And one study I saw that they think within 50 years, there won't be any goldfinches nesting south of like central Minnesota. Climate change, and you get them in the winter. You'll have they'll be in their fall plumage when you get them down there. You won't see them in the bright yellow until the spring when they're leaving. It's more likely your pattern down there. All right. That Melanie just posted the link. Hopefully that's working. Give that a try. Okay. Matthew, that's what Matthew stuck his head in and tell me. He put that link up and he checked it and it was working. So hopefully you can get there. Derek planted sunflowers this year for the birds, and we'll see the young and those feeding on them. Yes. Pretty cool to have them in the yard. Yes. And those that let those sunflowers grow, that either they take hold naturally or you actually purposely plant them. Believe me, the birds will take advantage of them. And then, like I said, and then by early winter and the frost and the freeze and the thaw and the seed, they lose their seed heads. And at that point, but boy, they are entertaining while they're feeding on them. All right. Here's the link again. Oh, they just got finished singing the national anthem. Oh boy, the rain must be over. They said that they may have to delay it because of thunderstorms tonight. So I didn't down here in the basement of our house. I can't hear it if there was thunder. Head down to Alabama. I'd love to go. Dauphin Island, down there is really, really famous for spring migration and birding down there. I'd love to go down there and bird watch some spring. What kind of environment draws pileated besides dead trees, of course? How do I track? Sandy, okay, in the nesting season, pileated is like large tracts of large timber, older timber. Obviously, their nests have to be drilled into dead wood, and so either a live tree that has access to the dead heartwood in the middle. So they tend to stay in larger tracts of timber in spring and summer. Now, in the fall, they tend to finger out into lesser habitat. So they don't need that big a timber to feed. They do like the big fat insect grubs and stuff that are chewing in the dead wood. So they still visit large timber. But, we see them in the fall and winter flying across in lesser habitat. And even settling into, like I said, even a feeder station. People who smear peanut butter or peanut butter mixtures or the tree icing is what we sell. It's that spreadable suet into the crevices of a tree after you can see it. They tend to find that better than landing on a bird feeder, which is kind of foreign to them. But if they find some suet that's smeared into the grooves and bark of the tree, is one way to attract them. But, like so many birds, a lot of us just luck. That I bet you they come through. I mean, like I said, we just can't watch all the time. I remember the one I photographed in the old backyard. The only reason I saw that bird was because Matthew was homesick from school that day, and I was down talking to him and looking out the back window, and this pileated flew up and landed on a tree outside. Never came to the feeders, but he was out there, and she was a female, so I was able to snap some pictures. But if I'd have been at work, I'd have missed that bird. They really are chance encounters. So larger timber is important. All right. Thank you, Andrew. Absolutely. Oh, the link is down. Oh, my goodness. We are going to get on this. Well, it's working now. Magic. Yeah. Thank you. Holy moly, John. I thought my possum was scary bears. Yeah. Yeah. The bears are, they really aren't really dangerous, but you just need to use common sense and you don't want to interrupt them mother feeding, that's for sure, or especially if they've got young. Just be careful with them. They're really not. Grizzlies get all the reputation for mauling people. Bears don't do that very often, that's for sure. I had a huge groundhog eating bird seed next to my feeder full today. Yes, the groundhogs will come and visit, and the chipmunks, and again, the least amount of work for the most amount of gain, and free food on the ground. A lot of mammals will take advantage of that, as well as your birds, of course. Central California, that's where you are. Okay. Yep. Northwest Arkansas, you're very much like us here in Kansas City. We have them all year round. I just get a lot more in winter. The Nebraska, North Dakota, those birds that get pushed down in winter settle in our area. The old house, we got have 100 in the winter months and only like a dozen during the nesting season. So, that is a full typical pattern. Yep. Hooded and Baltimore Orioles, but the Baltimore ones are eating sunflower seeds. That is really interesting. I've never seen a Baltimore Oriole eat a sunflower seed, but they're just not that great at cracking the seeds open. Is that sunflower kernels? They eat the oranges and the jelly, and but yeah, that's interesting. And Baxon, I don't know what that means. Okay. That is something. They're not interested in the Oriole, the grape jelly. That's crazy. Don't forget to talk about. You're right. Absolutely. That's right. I need to get to that. The swag stuff. If you go to the online store, and there's a new category called Mark's Swag, and that is T-shirts, coffee mugs that have Mark's Backyard Birds on it. People have asked for that. Melanie spearheaded it when I got it done, and like I said, the bird seed scoop. This was my idea a couple of years back, years ago. We did this as a promotion. Let me get this full screen here. All right. Yeah. This is a pitcher, obviously, and you can put margaritas in it or beer in it, but I thought it made a great bird seed scoop. So I did these up and I had it printed with the 20th anniversary of the store, the year we did that, and we gave them away at the anniversary sale that year. But we've redone them. People had asked them for them. We've been out of them for a while. So we brought these back in. So they're going up on the site. Plus, there'll be some promotions giveaways when you order from the online store. You might get one of these in your package when you order. So be on the lookout for those. And they'll also be up for sale on the store too. But the coffee mugs and the T-shirts, things like that, again, all of that helps us. And another thing that we're doing this month, the first time, we've never done this before, we're experimenting with it, is because September is such an important month for cleaning your bird feeder. We have our bird feeder cleaning day coming up in a couple of weeks, and we always put our brushes on sale. And this has only been done, in the store. You can come by, and then it's good for a tube feeder. And then there's hummingbird kits with a port brush and a hummingbird feeder bottle brush and bird bath brushes. These are all going to be 15% off on the online store with a code. And the code is going to be brushes, all caps. And so if you want a brush to clean your bird feeders with or your bird bath with, you'll use that at checkout, and it'll take 15% off of that. This is all new stuff. We're trying. People have been asking, and we've been working with our computer person to help us figure out how to do this. And this is going to be our first attempt. We want to do more of that. So thanks for the reminder, Steve. I really appreciate that. Steve usually when it chimes in and reminds you to give us a like and a share and promote the channel. We really, really do appreciate that. So you bet. Sparrows have been absolutely killing me lately. At this point. Yep. Yes, yeah. Again, you're talking the house sparrows and the house finches have just taken over, and it's just natural. It happens this time of year. Yes, like you said, safflower is typically a really good bet for that. Staying, when it gets really bad, I always say you can try the can't beat them, join them method, and that is spreading millet, which is absolutely their favorite food, on the ground, away from your bird feeders, maybe on a bare patch of dirt out toward the edge of the woods, and try to lure them away from your good seed. And that can, you don't want to encourage them. You don't want to, but they've already had their babies this year, and so doing that may give your feeders and your good birds, if you want to come feed at your, without being harassed by 100 house finches. It's believe me, I feel your pain. This year for me, I've never seen so many house finches, baby house finches. Georgia, in Georgia, I love those goldfinches. And right now, they should be bringing their babies in. You should have a lot of goldfinch activity. Woodpeckers and white-breasted nuthatches have been destroying the hot pepper suet at my. Yep, they're absolutely. You don't mind. I mean, those are entertaining to watch. You just love watching them. God, they even ate all your Niger, man. I hate that. I'm sorry for you. I think it was weird too, or maybe it was the millet. Millet doesn't have a seed hole coat like that, so that's a little more easy for them to take in. The ability to crack open that sunflower seed or safflower seed can be tough for birds that aren't built for that. Oh, there's a link to the swag, Mark's merchandise there. Either Melanie or Matthew put that up. Matthew's over at the house tonight, which is great. Hello there. Welcome in, the Working Bulldog. Sorry I'm late. I got busy and forgot. Oh, no, you forgot the live. Yeah, I thought you might be watching the football game. Yeah, it's, we've had a lot of things on Thursday nights here recently. I love seeing at feeders the little brown clown honks. Yes, I always say the nuthatches sound like they're laughing at you. Yeah. Especially down south, you guys have brown-headed nuthatches, and those adorable little squeaky toy sounds that they make. Ooh, yeah, the scoop or the picture, however you view it, it works for both. You guys, like I said, we appreciate our customers, and we will be sending out some here and there. Better backyard birds. I take the hard stance today. If it comes to house sparrows in my yard, biker gang or birds, 0 tolerance. Yeah, I usually use the biker gang for starlings, but I can see your opinion of house sparrows as well. I must get that too. I've tried so many different ones, but that one, it really works well. Like I said, it was just a whim of an idea to do something as a giveaway that year, and people loved it, and so we're definitely bringing it back. That breaks up House Army is my yard is the evening cardinal. Once in a great while, a Cooper's hawk. Definitely, Coopers can spread them out. That's for sure. Yeah, and some of the birds will stand up to them, but when there's so many of them, yeah, you probably see lesser goldfinches in Southern Cal more than American goldfinches. Yeah, well, that's what you said. I'm sorry. Yeah, they did. If I kept reading that, they got that. I don't want to hear it. They're a talented team. It's going to be a tough game. Has done a number on the old stump of the Bluebirds had been nesting in last year. Yeah, one day that's pileators. We called them stump thumpers in North Carolina growing up because, man, they'll tear up an old stump out in the woods. Yeah, you might need to invest in a Bluebird house and put it up. And you might want to put a portal guard around those bird houses, a metal washer around the right size. We have those on the online store, and it keeps woodpeckers from being able to drill out the bluebird houses more. I requested a might have gusted. Yep. Hi, Shirley. I didn't see you jump in there. I have a lot of everything, but exceptional numbers of titmice and chickadees. Hummers have to wait to eat while they drink. Yeah, some birds, especially like downies, and they have sweet tooths, and they'll drink that sugar water as well. This was eating ants in the Yeah, absolutely. They'll take advantage of those free bugs. Melanie's posted. Hi, Melanie. She's upstairs. She's up there. She's not down here with me tonight. I requested a canvas bag. Yeah, we're looking into the canvas bags. We're looking into the a sew-on patch like you asked about. We are getting there. We're expanding as quick as we can. Finally catching you. If Miss Blue Jay action is picking up again. Somebody's disappeared. Just so. All right. Yep. The acorns are going to start dropping, and then that's whenever we really see the blue jays and those oak dependent birds move out and take advantage of that and storing them. Reaching tree sparrows. Oh, you're just St. Louis, and they have the ETSs as we call them, more than the house sparrows. They're like Niger. Hope bird turns back up soon in November. Yes. I start doing my snow and ice dance every October, and that brings up a point. Andrew, who's on tonight, he suggested that the next live or one of our lives coming up, we do it on what birds you're most excited to see come back to your bird feeders once they start returning in the fall. So that's probably what we'll do in 2 weeks and get onto that topic and be thinking about that and have your list ready. Protect my Danny from. Really, there's nothing. There really isn't. Nobody likes to hear me talk about killing sparrows, but you remember house sparrows, European starlings, and domestic pigeons are introduced and they negatively impact our birds in this country, and they are not protected by law. And if you have it within your heart to do it, you can take them out. And again, I know there's a lot of people opposed to it, so and try to be very sensitive about that. But it is legal if you come to that point and you have it where you feel like you need to, but you need to 100% make sure that they are house sparrows, European house sparrows, and not one of the native protected species if you're going to do that. All right, Melanie's talking to Shirley there. All right. Huge green parrot around a big palm tree. Oh, you're in California. Unless we're watching the document. The wild parrots of Telegraph Hill. I've never heard of it, but there are areas in this country that have established populations of parrot and parakeets. So, all right, backer gangs, guys. I'm going to try to wrap up here. I did look. We're over an hour now and still going, but I hate if I missed you. I appreciate your patience with us tonight. We had, like I said, we had a kind of a crazy day and night here at the house, at the McKellar household. And so we got this one in, and I really appreciate you participating and helping me out here and patience. Let's see, try to get some, biker game be good for the red-winged blackbirds when their numbers are like that. Yeah. Break up the house bears, earn me and myself. No way else to do me. Like I say, if you've got it in your heart, you're legal to do. I don't know what's going on, and nobody else reported the sound issues. I wonder if you maybe got a speaker thing going on there, if no one else is having it. It's not the house sparrows. Yeah, and there's certain birds. I mean, just like bluebirds, when it comes to bluebird houses, there's some bluebirds who can fight off those sparrows, and there's lots who can't. Yeah. Well, bikers aren't bad. It's I guess a throwback identification. My chickadees identify. Yep. The identity crisis. Yeah. Send those swag ideas. If you'd like to see, Mark's Backyard Birds on a different kind of promotional thing, we'd love to put it together. We're getting things printed up. Oh, I have been to Riverlands many times. It is an incredible place. And yes, that's where I go. If I want to go find a Eurasian tree sparrow in a hurry when I'm in St. Louis, I'll go out there because I know I can always find them. I'm hoping brown creepers show up again this year. Guys, yes. And another thing another program that's going to be coming up here is I was requested from you guys, and please send in requests. You guys did a really good job sending in several recently, is that someone requested that I talk about my favorite bird watching spots in America. So I'm going to do like a top 5 places. If I'm going anywhere near there, I would definitely want to go there to birdwatch. So I'm going to put that together. So be on the lookout for that. Yes, I sure hope those creepers come back in. No problem. I understand. Yes, exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, the brown-headed cowbirds are protected. You can't legally kill them. House sparrows and starlings, you can. And God, thank you guys for joining in. It really, I love these programs. You guys are great participants. I love the questions. Hello, Oklahoma. They do well. I mean, the house sparrows will kill like bluebirds and bluebird babies in their nest boxes and trample them. And I've seen stories. A friend of mine saw one peck a baby chipping sparrow to death one time. So yes, they like eating them, but they do kill them from time to time. Yay! I'm gonna have to watch the replay. Thank you, Andrew. Oh, Sophie. Yeah, Sophie's out with Melanie. I'll tell her you said hi, Sandy. She fallen down to her producer duties tonight. Yeah, cowbird traps. Yeah, there are areas where endangered species are that the government does trap and kill cowbirds. Certain places in the country. Yeah, that does occur. Gosh, thank you guys again. It's been wonderful. Have a good evening. A MBB trucker cab. Got that, Mel? All right. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.